What is up, guys? Welcome to another video. So this video is the first episode of a new weekly online series called China Chats, and I'm doing it with Fernando from China Teacher Brand, where we talk about China, our life, and how we see things here in the mainland. So now I know that the video quality is not so great from my side, so that is something that I need to work on. But I do feel like that we have a good foundation and we can definitely build on this, and hopefully we can entertain people one way or another. So anyway, without further ado, here is the video and enjoy.
Hi, Zach. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you? I mean, it's our first time doing this video, so I mean, a lot
Yeah,
of questions to be asked and answered.
yeah. We've been talking on WeChat and we're talking about, well, what do we want to do? And, well, here we are doing our first collaboration together. Have you done collaborations before?
Not really, no. This is actually the first like proper one.
Okay. I've done a few, and it's an interesting world out there. I actually want to make a video about how to live stream in China because it's its own little world. You've done live streams as well, right?
I've done a few while I was snowboarding last year, but YouTube changed quite a bit, so now you need a computer to do live streaming if you have less than 1,000 subscribers. So a little bit of self-promotion here. If somebody's watching it on your channel, they can come across, check out my videos. And if somebody is watching it on my channel, go and
Go
check
check.
out Fernando's channel because he's got amazing content and he's a super cool guy. So there you go. Cross promotion.
Indeed. That's what we do. This is guerrilla marketing. I think we
Exactly.
should
Yeah,
start a group
exactly.
like YouTubers hated by Greylow 60. That should be our the name of our new project.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I don't wanna stir this conversation in that way, but it looks like it, like-minded people, they find each other, like you and me and a few others that, I don't want to name people because I don't want to get them into trouble, but
Sure.
it looks that way. It looks that way, yeah.
Okay, one of the things that I want to say right off the bat is you and I don't agree on absolutely everything. And this is why I said
Yeah.
to you when we were chatting, right? What did I say to you exactly? I said like that's what I think will be interesting, right?
Yeah, to have different opinions. Like you have an opinion about something, and I'm very happy to talk about it as long as you're happy to accept that I have a different view, and it goes vice versa. So if you don't agree with something, we can definitely talk about it and see where it goes. Like we're not gonna hate each other after the conversation. We're gonna come out better. Like we both gonna learn something
Yeah,
about each other and the situation.
that's basically the reason that I thought to myself, this is what I want to do this because um, one of the things that I want to do with my channel is to engage conversation. So when people come to me with their own arguments, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I did not know that. So it's enriching in both directions. You know what I mean? They learn from me, and I learn from them, and well, it makes for a more for a deeper understanding of what China is like and life in China is about. We had chosen a topic for this chat, hadn't we? We want to talk about.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we want to talk about, I wouldn't say it's a sensitive topic. It's just well, how do I don't know how to explain it. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Chinese wives.
Again,
It it
this
might
is
sound a
how
little bit racist.
this is how we disagree because for me it's super sensitive. I might end up sleeping on the
Yeah, I
sofa.
mean, yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I told you this before, and some of my viewers, some of my subscribers are actually from Jilin, and they know my nickname that I've told you a couple of days ago, the White Kanye, because I just say whatever I think, whatever is on my mind, whatever is in my heart, I just say it. I don't really have a filter. I mean, I have a filter for not swearing, but I
Hmm.
don't have a filter for the situation and what I think about the situation. So.
Well, for me, it's a little bit interesting because my wife is not a very public person at all. I don't know. That's probably the first question that I wanted to ask. Has your wife ever appeared on your videos? Because mine hasn't.
No, never. And she said she doesn't really want to. I mean, she was in the video, in the picture, but she never talked. She never, like, engaged in the video in any
Uh-huh.
way. So,
My wife will go as far as lending me her voice when I need to translate something or whatever, but she doesn't want to be. She's never been on camera. She doesn't want to be on camera. So this would be the next level of engagement from my wife. Just hearing our stories from my own mouth. How do you? How do
yeah,
you?
unfortunately.
Yep. Tell me. Sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that sort of helping hand. I mean, I'm a one-man team when it
Mm.
comes to videos and translating and whatnot. So I mean, I can ask her like, what's this, what's that, but most of the time I'm really, reading everything by myself, even if it's Chinese. So yeah, one-man team.
No, she's very supportive of what I do, but she doesn't want to be on camera at all. So she would feed me information. She'd like, "Hey, check this one out. Oh, this happened. Oh, you should talk about this." So she's very much in sync with what I'm trying to do. But as far as being in front of the lens, not a chance. Not a chance that you guys get to see her. I mean, on social media, yes, but not on YouTube. How did you guys meet?
So I think I told you that I'm snowboarding, and most of my viewers, they know that I'm basically a snowboarder as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that was one of the reasons why we met, and we had a mutual friend,
Mm-hmm.
and their school were looking for a teacher, and I went there, I met her, then basically I asked her out, like, do you want to go snowboarding? And one of my friends, they moved to Australia, so if they're watching, hi to them, hi Andre, hi Jess. And basically Jess was the one who said you should definitely ask her out on a snowboarding date because that's like the coolest idea ever. So it in some ways it's basically down to two of my friends that already moved back to Australia that I'm with my wife
Mm.
because they were encouraging me. They were like, go ahead, do it, and just see what happens. And that's what happened.
Cool, cool. How long ago was that?
So, so this was back in 2018, January.
Ah, so you've been married for how long?
Well, it's gonna come up to 2 years now in this November.
Oh,
So
okay.
we got married on paper. We never really done the Chinese wedding ceremony thing that you see. But I have some questions about that for you if you had that.
No, no. I've been
No?
married. I've been married twice, in China, and as far as I went with my first wife, we did the photos, but no dinner party or anything like that, because she was from Beijing, so all her family was in Beijing. And that was an interesting story, the actual wedding, because my parents were visiting and they met her and they liked her. And we went to Beijing with my parents, her, and to meet her family. When we got married, her parents didn't go with us to the Foreign Affairs Bureau where you get married. They're like, oh, we're gonna go get married. My parents were like dressed up and whatnot, yeah, all excited. Oh, we're going to, they're getting married. The parents like, okay, see you later. See you for lunch. Like, the fuck. That was my
That,
experience.
that, that was it.
Yeah, that was it, and pay the 9 yuan or 10 yuan that it cost, and that was it. But previous to that, we had taken the pictures and whatnot. But that was a very short-lived marriage. Basically, we separated like after a year and a half, and the divorce was quite lengthy. So I only got married. That was 2006, I think, that we got married. Yeah, if I remember correctly. And I only got married in 2015 again. So I waited a bit of time to make sure that I didn't make the same mistake again. So you
Oh,
guys were married.
I think you should have kept that as a secret because now the haters they're gonna call you a sexpat.
Ooh, no, they know. They know. I have a video talking about what's it like to like Chinese ladies. And the interesting thing for me, I don't know about you, I'll ask you as well, but when I came to China, I was not attractive to Asian ladies. No Asian lady, no Thais, no Japanese, no Chinese. Just, you know what I mean? Like it didn't register as beauty. But after some time, yeah, you start finding them attractive. I don't know if everybody's the same. Because you see, in Colombia, we're not too exposed to Chinese people. So,
Hmm.
what about you?
Personally, I never really had. I wouldn't say it's a dislike because it's not a dislike, is it?
Yeah, no,
Like
no, no.
the thing that you had first. I mean, I never really had that. I I wouldn't say like, I was only attracted to Asian girls in general. I mean, I'm attracted to girls in any kind of way. So any kind of girl is fine. But obviously, my wife is the number one. So
Now they're gonna say that
yeah,
you have no standards. Any kind of
yeah.
girl.
They're gonna say yeah, any kind of girl. I mean, you know, let's not beat around the bush. Like, what's the first thing that attracts you in a girl?
In a girl. I
Yeah,
mean,
what's the first thing that attracts you?
without talking to her, I don't know the way she carries herself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, So
this,
so
this
so outlook. So the outside, what you see on the outside, right?
yeah, definitely. And that was a challenge for me because, well, obviously they have a completely different features in the face and the bodies are different and whatnot. So it's like everybody has straight hair. So you're like, so that was a challenge at first. I mean, a challenge in the sense that I was thinking to myself, how am I ever gonna find a girlfriend here if I'm not attracted to them? But it only took 6 months, and then I started to find them attractive. But to me, I mean,
There you go.
um, a girl that's fit, that laughs, that has a good, I don't know. And once you start knowing the person, I've said it in one of my podcasts before. The of course China, cheap plug again. Um, a woman with brains, a woman with her own ideas. Like there's a lot of girls, not only in China but everywhere, that will say yes to everything you tell them. What do you want to do? Whatever you want. Do you want to go this? Yes. Do you want to do that? Also, you're like, ah, that's really a turn off for me. I don't like this kind of people in general, men or women. So,
Yeah.
yeah. What about you?
I mean, that was a lot to. I mean, what's the question exactly? So I can answer it.
Boobs or ass?
I don't know, man. Like whichever's bigger. There you go. Whichever's bigger. I mean,
not
that's
not not the middle
that's
section.
no.
uh,
Oh man.
no,
All
I,
right.
I,
So
I I think, yeah. Tell me.
I pulled up some articles here that they have some interesting things in them, and it's more about the qualities that Chinese girls and brides they represent in general. So
Mm,
we're not saying that every single girl is like this, but it gives a good idea to people to know what Chinese girls and brides are like. So
mm.
I have some questions about that if you don't mind, if you
Sure,
don't
sure,
mind,
sure.
shifting a little bit to a different side. So there is a saying when you marry a Chinese girl, you also marry her family. Is that true or is that, bogus?
Um, look, I think that it really depends on, okay, how to go about this. There's different angles to answer this question. One is related to one thing that I wanted to ask you, but is very particular in my case. My wife and I, we have a relatively um, considerable age difference. My first wife, we were about the same age, but my wife now, um, she's 15 years younger. So
Hmm.
it's a considerable difference. That has an impact in many things. Um, One of them is that I am only a bit younger than her parents, so they don't feel the the need to control our life. You know what I mean? I don't
Hmm.
know if that explains it. It's like I'm already a grown up man. I'm a mature person. I make my decisions. I'm responsible. I take responsibility for. You know what I'm saying? So it's and on top of that, then I'm a foreigner. And on top of that, my Chinese is crap. And on top of that, they speak no English. So there's many barriers uh, for a degree of proximity that will become an interference into our relationship. So they pretty much let us be. They let us be, and they leave us to our own devices. Um, they're absolutely fantastic people. Whenever we have an issue, for example, when we travel, right? We have we used to have two dogs. One of them passed away last year. We had two dogs and a cat. So if we want to go on holiday to Colombia, you don't go to Colombia for 7 days, right? You go to Colombia for what, a month at least. So what do we do with our dogs? So we would actually ask them, because they're already retired, like, hey, do you guys mind coming down to our city? They also live far away. They live in Henan. And they would be nice enough to come here and stay here while we were on holiday. Just looking after the apartment and looking after the dogs, and you know what I mean? For them, it's like a holiday. So we have a very good relationship, but it's at the same time kind of like a minimal relationship. That's my answer.
Yeah.
What's
No,
the
I mean,
situation with you?
so for me, it's also very similar, believe it or not, because my in-laws, they just, let us live how we want. So you can hear these stories like, in-laws, they move in with the new bride and the groom, and they live for like years and years and years,
Mm-hmm.
and the husband needs to buy a house and all that sort of stuff. But like you said, because you're a foreigner, like these things, they are not really required from a foreigner. So, when I came to China, when I met my now wife,
Mm-hmm.
I was only in China for like what, 7 months, 8 months, and they were actually very supportive. Like I can remember my mother-in-law, what my wife said to me, that my mother-in-law said that, just give it a go, see how it goes, see what happens. I mean, you basically only live once, and you should see if this relationship can actually work. Like if you don't try it, you will always regret it in the rest of your life. If you try it and you know that it doesn't work, then you try it, and you can say that this is something that is not for me, and I should move on from it. So back to the original thing. Yeah, my in-laws are actually very supportive, and they, like I said, they let us live how we want. I mean, we still have, some ties to them because we are in the same city. Excuse me.
Ooh,
There you go.
proper
That's gonna
elbow.
get cut out for sure.
Proper elbow.
Mm. There you go. So that's the coronavirus for me. Also, drinking some beer. I don't know if you are drinking anything, if you have any, poison next to you.
Coffee.
Coffee.
I,
That's a bit
I,
late for coffee, isn't it?
for you guys, for Colombians, it's like water.
Oh, sorry, I always forget.
uh, no, I wanted to ask you: is there a big age difference between you guys?
No, only 2 years to
Hmm.
her side, so she's 2 years older than me, and
I
that is
think that
about it.
what we were talking about is probably one of the reasons why a lot of Chinese families kind of like see foreigners as not the ideal husband. I think that what's always in the back of their heads is, oh, he's gonna take. I mean, and particularly with the one-child policy, right? He's gonna get tired of China, and he's gonna take her away from China. He's gonna send her, well, take her away from them. And you know how important it is for children, for sons and daughters, to look after their parents in their elder years. So that idea that, oh, she's going to leave, it's always in the back of our heads, um, which I think is one of the main obstacles. One of the main things that Chinese families kind of like don't really go along with when a relationship with a foreigner starts. I don't know if you would agree with that.
No, I 100% agree with it. I mean, I had a girlfriend before her, and like us Westerners and foreigners, we like to meet the parents because we want to establish, a good image about ourselves.
Hmm.
Like that's what I think. That's what people want to do. And the first one, she was like, "Nope, nope, you can't meet them at all. Like, there's no way. We need to keep this secret, and there's no way that you can meet my parents at all." So that was the first red flag for me. I don't know if you've ever experienced that.
No, I mean, I experienced it like 20 years ago. I mean, oh, I don't know, 18 years ago. I was going out with a girl and asked her I would like to meet your parents, just to meet her parents. Not nothing like it's not like I was gonna get married. Um,
Yeah.
and she kind of like was against it for some time. But here's the interesting thing: the day that I met her parents at dinner, the very next day she said like, "Oh, my parents asked me to break up with you," and I'm like, "What?" Like, yeah, they don't want me to be in a relationship with a foreigner. I'm like, okay, so that information that I just gave you is about 18 years old. They just told
I
her
mean,
break up with him and that's it.
yeah. I mean, by the looks of it, that's still a thing. So I mean, it still happened to me. So
No, no,
you know
no,
that
it
that I
happens.
I think that's yeah, it happens. I wouldn't say this is just China and Chinese parents are the worst. No, that's not the case. I don't think that is the case. I mean, parents can be very protective all around the world.
Hmm.
Like my mum was very protective before I came to China. She was like, "Oh, don't go, just stay in England, just do this, do that." But when you have something on your mind and you have a strong will, you're just gonna do it anyway. So, it's not down to the parents all the
I
time.
I remember in that video that I made about what I called yellow fever. It was a video called yellow fever, but it was not really about yellow fever. It's just the process of finding a girlfriend in China. It's a complicated process. I mean, there are many things that need to match, so to speak. For example, um, number one, she's got to speak English, or you got to speak very good Chinese, because otherwise,
Yeah.
how are you going to communicate? How are you going to? I mean, that determines the depth of that relationship. You know what I'm saying? In my particular case, my wife's English is pretty good. What do you guys use to communicate at home? Chinese or English?
It's a mixture. See, so we do mostly English, so about what 75 to 80% English, and
Mm.
the other 25 to 20% is Chinese mixed into the English like conversation. So that way, like I can improve, and I can mix in new words all the time.
Mm.
Like sometimes it's very scary. Like I say like obviously. That's one of my favorite words, obviously.
Uh huh.
And she started using it more and more and more. And I realized that she sounds like me now. Like not 100% me, but she sounds more like me with the word usage,
Uh
like
huh.
obviously and these usual words that I like to use in my conversations.
My
I don't know
wife
if
is
if you have that.
well. We don't use very similar words, but I use a lot of. I mean, similar to what you do, but in Chinese. Like whatever I hear her say, I try to get the context and the proper usage, and then I implement it, and I find myself saying things that she says, even in her local dialect. And sometimes she's like, "What?" But in English, not so much, because yeah, I mean we speak English all the time, but I don't see her like. Perhaps I haven't thought about it, to be honest. Maybe she does, but I don't think so. The funny thing is that she's correcting me all the time because my Chinese is crap. This car that we have, this electric vehicle that we have, has an artificial intelligence thing, and I talk to the damn thing, and it never understands me. And then my wife talks to it, and it understands her, and I'm like, this, it pisses me off, man. So she's
No, I,
correcting.
I I have the same thing. I have the same thing.
Like I say something and it doesn't register, and then she says the exact same thing, and I'm like, what? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know either. This car is racist.
Yeah, probably. I mean, for example, there's the map called Baidu Maps.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you go onto Baidu Maps, you can do like the voice to thing. So you can talk, you can chat to it. So you just need
yeah.
to say, what is it? Xiao du or something like that. Yeah, I
Shall
think
do,
I
shall do.
think that is it.
We
So
are
yeah,
to.
so I want to do it, and I do it like 5 times in a row, and like different tones, like different, like voice, like different pitched voice, and it doesn't work. She picks up the phone, she says it, and it works.
No,
And like I ask her like, am I right or am I wrong? And she said like, of course you're right. Like you said it 5 times in a row correctly, but the app is just racist.
You know what's even worse? The way you wake up this AI thing in the car, it's actually English. Say hello, know me. So you go, hello, know me, nothing. Hello, know me. Hello, know me, nothing. She goes, hello, know me, and it just picks it up. And so like, let me try with a Chinese accent. So I'm like, hello, know me, and it picks it up. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous.
It's definitely racist.
We have
It's
that.
racist.
We have that. We have that on my wife's social media, and it's just the funniest thing. I mean, when I imitate a Chinese accent, English, um, it picks it up. It's funny. Hey,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a complicated question. How do you guys handle finances?
Oh, so
Ooh.
that is an interesting one. Yeah, that is. So I like to be independent with my finances,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, because of school and business and everything, it's complicated. Like, she wants to take care of certain things,
Mm-hmm.
for example, like bills and whatnot, and I need to like pay for it and give her the money for it. But when it comes to like, rent, that's more like a 50-50 thing. So like
Mm-hmm.
paying for the house is like 50-50 thing. Paying for the car, that's all on me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my responsibility. Paying for her car is her responsibility. So we don't share like, personal things, but
Mm-hmm.
we share what we use
Common
together. So
things.
I mean, yeah, common things. Yeah. So, the house is something that we try to figure out together, and the bills, like she sets up the accounts, she talks to the people, and if I forget to pay the bills, she's gonna pay it, and like next month she's like, oh, you can pay it this month because last month I did it, and I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So it's
Do
not
you do you
not too
guys have
complicated for us
sorry?
in this company.
Do you guys have comparable salaries, or is there a discrepancy there?
We basically earn the same because it's business. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
I don't really want to. I think I told you that I don't really want to enclose my business affairs and all that, but I can definitely say that our salaries they match each other. So
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, me and my wife we work together, but the thing is that I started the company before we married, so that has always been like my thing is my money. You know what I mean? Um, so we work together, and she has a salary from the company. So obviously there is a huge discrepancy right there. Now, what because there is a big discrepancy, we have an agreement. Basically, um, I take care of pretty much all the expenses. So, say rent, say car loans, say credit cards, say everything. And she's in charge of food. So, whether we go to the supermarket or we go out, if it's something special that's kind of like expensive, I will pay for it if we go out. But in general, that's our arrangement. That's our agreement. She pays for at times she pays for her own gas, but in general, I take care of everything, and she takes care of well food. That's how we operate now. This time with the virus and the beginning of 2020 is being a little bit complicated because, well, I'm paying her a salary is like taking money from one pocket and put it in another pocket, so to speak. You know, it's it becomes all
Yeah.
our money. So we it became all like, okay, what do we need? And we're spending only what's necessary and what's you know what I mean? So she said, "Oh, we need to buy this. Okay, I'll send you money on Alipay. Oh, I'll send you money Alipay." So it's become a little bit strange right now, but hopefully, things are gonna go back to normal soon. But that's our financial arrangement. Like I was saying in my latest video, one of my latest videos, insurance and all these things. That's all coming out of my pocket or like the business side. Yeah. In a way, it's like whatever we want to do together, um, I pay for it. Like say holidays. Yeah, we want to. Oh, let's say we want to go to Europe. Okay, I pay for everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's something that
Yeah.
I want to do and I can afford for both of us to do. So why would I not do it? So it's basically how we handle things. But do you guys do you have like a joint bank account or?
No, we just do what you just said, like, transfer money from one to another if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
But usually we can budget, our salaries
Yeah,
pretty well. Well,
that's
I mean, right now it's a bit, it's a bit iffy, but yeah.
yeah, that's one of the reasons why, for example, when I buy gear, right? It's kind of like I just go and buy the gear, and she's like, "How much was that?" And I'm like, "This was this much." Okay, so as long as I'm fulfilling the responsibilities as a husband, do you know what I mean? Uh, as a main bread earner in the family, then I have a lot of flexibility with the money. I control it, manage it, and I handle it the way that I see. Um, what about family? Because we don't have children, and that's an interesting thing when it
Well,
comes to in-laws as well. We've been married for 5 years,
yeah.
and no pressure.
So no pressure from your in-laws, is that?
At least whatever pressure there is doesn't get to me. But also I know that there's not much pressure from her parents as well. What about you?
Personally, I don't have too much pressure either. I
Mm.
mean, my mum, she wants, grandkids. Um, Personally, like, it's gonna sound bad, but even though I'm working in a school and doing, a school business, I'm not too fond of having my own. I mean, I love all of my students and I take very good care of them, but to have an extra one full time, that's
Mm-hmm.
something that I don't really want to do in my late 20s just yet. So
Mm.
maybe if I get to my 30s, mid 30s, end of my 30s, then yeah, I mean it is a possibility. But for now, I would rather, just enjoy life as the two of us, so just me and my wife.
I remember when me and my wife got married, I said to her like, look, I want us to I want to show you the world. I've traveled much more than she has. So I want to show you the world. And with a baby, that's a little bit of an issue. Um, and that's what we did. So we've been to the US, we've been to Colombia like 3 times, we were in Europe. So uh, we've traveled quite a bit. And as time went on, um, we basically had the talk, and I said like, look, to be honest with you, I mean, cheap plug again. You can go watch my video called "Fathering" as an ESL teacher in China, where I explain my reasons for not wanting to have children, um, and yeah, that would be a big thing for a lot of foreigners if they're thinking about marrying in China. If they don't want to have children, that's a huge thing with the in-laws, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so many like in-laws, they're trying to push, the newlyweds to basically have a son or a daughter like in 9 months, like
Mm-hmm.
from their from their wedding day, like starting from there, you have 9 months. In 9 months, you need to produce something basically. I mean, it sounds very bad, but that's the mindset that many in-laws represent. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but they put a lot of pressure onto the newlyweds, like
Mm-hmm.
a new husband and new wife. And a wedding is already a big outgoing with
Mm-hmm.
money. Like in China, weddings are very expensive. I don't
Mm.
know, in Colombia how expensive they would be to have,
Same thing.
a similar kind of wedding.
Same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, in England, it's actually more expensive to have a wedding. So, our plan was to have a wedding in China, then have a wedding in Hungary because Hungary is a very cheap country,
Mm-hmm.
and the services that you can get, you get the same services for the fraction of the price,
I see.
and you can have like beautiful scenery, and photo shoots for like Chinese people in Europe is like the new hip. They love doing it because Europe is, a lot cheaper in that sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
getting like photo shoots in China, if you want to get like 3 or 5 photos in my city, in Jilin city, for a couple, it's like
Mm.
1,000 RMB. It's
Well,
already very expensive.
when I first got married, as I said, we did do the photo shoot thing, and I remember like this is 2005, 2006. It was like 4,000 RMB, but they gave us like 60 pictures or 30 pictures or whatnot, a big printout, a book. But again, it's 15 years ago. This time around,
Yeah.
we didn't do it. Wife sometimes says that she wants to do it, but eh, I'm like, really? We actually we got married in Hong Kong. You guys got married here in China?
Yeah, she is from Harbin, so we had to go all the way up to Harbin. And I forgot to add that my parents were here for that one as well, so it
Mm-hmm.
perfectly matched up on the timeline. So, and it was my birthday as well, so it's the birthday present to get married. I mean, who doesn't want that? Which man doesn't want it?
Dude, we
Like,
have.
if you're if I mean, I was just about to say, like, if anyone thinks that is not the best birthday present, leave a comment down below and tell us why it's not the best birthday present.
I have the
Wink, wink.
worst. I have the worst memory in the world. Like when I say the worst is the worst, I even my parents, I often forget their birthdays and whatnot. I mean, really, really terrible. I remember my brothers because it's like 2 days after mine, 3 years apart. But that's about
I
it.
mean, obviously.
Yeah, it's not like ooh, and then and the funny thing is that when we bought this car, it was a special edition. It was a limited edition, so they allow you to choose like a certain number. Not for the license plate, although you can also choose it, but for the car. There's only like 500 cars issued, so we chose the date of our anniversary, so the month and the day. And we are both so freaking bad at this stuff that we both chose the wrong date. I mean, it's like, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So 31st of whatever, yeah, yeah, 31st of whatever. So they engrave it in the car, and it's in different places in the car. And just like 2 weeks ago, we're like, no, it wasn't on the 31st, and we go and check out the photos on which are like, oh crap, it was the 30th. So
I
it's a
mean,
good thing that we're
yeah,
both bad at this.
absolutely. Like then there's no argument about it
if it
because,
was if it was
you can
just
just say,
me,
oh, yeah.
uh, that's
Oh, talking
another.
about forgetting things.
Yeah.
Talking about forgetting things. So this afternoon we were cooking food, and like I used to work in a restaurant quite a bit. So in prep kitchens, in normal kitchens, sous chef. I started from the very bottom, then I worked myself very high up to be like a sous chef and all that. And so I like cooking.
Mm.
That's where I'm getting with this. So today we were cooking together, and there was a big bag of shallots.
Uh huh.
And a couple of months ago, I started like doing this like home pickling stuff because I watch another YouTube channel, and it's like about cooking and whatnot. It's Joshua Weissman.
Mm.
So I watch him, and he does this all of this like DIY, do it at home cooking stuff. And I did pickled shallots a couple of months ago, and about 2 or 3 weeks ago, she bought like a big bag of shallots, and she's like, "You need to make, pickled shallots for me because I love them so much because you make it the best." I said, "Okay, no problem." And I kept forgetting it. And every week, like she would remind me, "Oh, are you gonna do the pickles? Are you gonna do the pickles?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'll do it, whatever." But then I got caught up with videos. Then I have another channel that I need to manage. There you go, side advert. So I have a Hungarian channel. So if any Hungarians are watching, the link's gonna be in either your description or my description. So, so yeah, basically week after week she was reminding me, and today she kind of lost it, and she was like, she picked up the bag and she said, "Okay, I'm gonna throw it away if you don't make it." Then she stormed out to the kitchen, and I was like, "Well, I guess today is the day that I'm gonna make it, so I can't move it, you
I
know."
have to force you to do things. You always forget. No, there's a very interesting thing about me and my wife is that we're very, very similar in which we are kind of like we're not bothered by certain things. For example, um, I call it in my stand-up routine. I'm preparing this bit, which is kind of like we're half action people. Like for example, if I open a jar and I want to close it back, I just put the lid back in. I don't screw it all the way in. If if I like we don't go all the way in most of the things that we do. Like for example, I would load the dishwasher, but I won't start it. So we're both complaining to each other about like you, I forgot, you, I forgot, but we're the same. So it's like um, that makes for harmonious relationship because uh, she calls me out on it, and then I call her out on something else in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So yeah, we know that that's who we are, and that makes it easier for us to just let it be. It would drive somebody crazy if you were both so different. If one was forgetful and the other one wasn't. Do you know what I'm saying? That would drive
Yeah.
somebody insane. So it's good that we're very similar. Hey, I have another question for you. Um,
Go on then.
romance in China. What's
A
your
romance in
experience?
China.
What is
Oh, I
romantic
can't.
for Chinese ladies? What do you think is
What is
romantic
romantic?
for them?
Okay, so from my experience and from my wife, it's usually taking nice photos of her
Mm-hmm.
without me. So I take the nice photos in good settings. That's romantic for her because I do it for her. So that's one thing.
Uh-huh.
Another thing is like we like to go out, have food, go to the movies, go to the cinema, watch things.
Mm.
Flowers sometimes for like anniversary or like 520. I mean, for
Mm-hmm.
this 520, I couldn't get anything because, like I said, I'm in Jilin and we're in full
Can't go out.
lockdown. I'm only
Mm.
allowed, yeah, I can't go out. Only 2 hours outside, and I think I told you that, there's like a different permit that you can use if you're like an essential worker,
Mm-hmm.
but schools are not very essential right now. So
Mm.
yeah. But anyway, so flowers, chocolate. Oh, there you go. So chocolate is not very popular for Chinese girls. I mean, that's what I think. I don't know what's your experience about this, but I think Chinese girls, they are not very fond of chocolate in general. They think it's pretty, but they wouldn't, sit down and eat like a box of chocolates in an afternoon.
I think in a sense I have influenced my wife quite a lot. She eats like a foreigner. I mean, we have steak all the time, pizza all the time. Like um, so she eats a little bit like a foreigner. But one of the things that she's crazy about is ice cream. Like for her, ice cream is like the best thing. So a romantic thing would be if I go to, I don't know, the convenience store and I bring her an ice cream. Oh, you know what I mean? So that's one that she likes quite a lot. The other thing is that she likes to bother me, and if I let her, then that's romantic. I mean, the small things, you know what I mean? Like, oh, let me whatever. I'm like, so I pretend not to like it. But when I give up, right, and I let her do it, then she thinks it's romantic. And photos, same thing. I mean, but photos of us. And the funny thing is that if we take photos together and I don't post them, or I don't, you know what I mean? Like, why are you not posting the photos? Why are you not like, relax, woman? I'm just about to.
I mean, about posting the photos, like we post a lot of photos on Facebook, for example, but on WeChat we don't. Like
Mm,
if you have me on WeChat, if you look through, there's about two. One about our wedding that we
mm-hmm.
had, the paperwork that we did in Harbin about 2 years ago, and the other one was Christmas. That's it.
But
Like
it's.
we don't personally like put things on WeChat
Mm,
because we have a lot of business people, and it was her idea not to put personal pictures up, not
mm-hmm.
because I'm so ugly that I can't be shown around, but
We have a
so
very
we
interesting
kind of
thing, which is kind of weird. I mean, physiologically speaking, for whatever reason, my complexion, my body is kind of stocky, but my head is small. My wife is the other way around. Her head is like a little bigger for her frame. So whenever we take pictures together, we look like it, we look like
it's like you swapped heads, right?
remember Beetlejuice? The guy with the little head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
look
yeah,
like when I'm next to her. So every time that we're taking pictures, we need to use perspective. Okay, so she's behind me, and I'm like, okay, well, does this look proportional? Okay, go. Uh, it is the one of the challenges. Whenever I take a picture and we're next to each other, delete that picture. I'm like, oh, okay, it was a beautiful sunset, but now what do we do?
yeah, same. Like every single time, like, we need to take at least 50 pictures. Like we do take pictures together, but
Yeah.
we need to take at least 50, and you need to move around like, this way or that way or like, straight up. And it's always different because, oh, this is not good. The light is not good. My face doesn't look, small enough. My face is too big. My hair doesn't look good. There's always an excuse why. Then the other thing is using these apps to make your face like thinner and all that.
The beautifier.
And she tried it on mine, and I mean I already have a very like thin face compared to Chinese people,
Uh,
and that they're always very fond to see like my lines are just going straight down. I don't really have like a curve. It's
um,
just straight down, and they're like, "Oh my God, you don't even need the app." And I'm like, well, that's just me. I'm a walking app myself.
save
I
me some money,
I
huh?
m- yeah. I mean, I don't need to pay for the apps, so
No, the
it's
funny
free.
thing is that some
Like it's
people
a
sometimes comment like, "Why is your wife always behind you? You're such a chauvinist pig." And I'm like, "No, it's just a perspective kind of thing.
yeah, it's a perspective
you're
kind of thing.
always
Yeah,
you're always leading the way." I'm like, "Well, that's what she wants."
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Because a big
um,
yeah. Go ahead.
I had a question in terms of how difficult is it for you guys to line up some of your values, some of your dreams in life? Do you guys talk about that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like the big things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like I'll give you an
yeah.
example. For
Totally.
example, I had a girlfriend who many years ago, who one day said like, "Oh yeah, my mother made me placenta soup," and I'm like, "What? Placenta soup?" I'm like, "You mean human placenta?" Yes.
Yeah, I was.
I'm like, I can't. It just doesn't register. So at that point, it was a matter of me unable to accept this mentality. Obviously, that was one of my first girlfriends here in China, probably 2001, 2002. But that to me was like a smack in the face. Like, whoa. Do you know what I'm saying? So, what about those kind of values or those kind of traditions? Is there any kind of conflict? Is there anything? How do you handle that,
I mean,
if there are?
I'm still in shock about that soup. So can we just go back? Can you just elaborate on that one a little bit more? Because I'm still in shock, and I think people that are still watching, they are gonna be in shock as well. So can you please like explain the context of it? Because yeah,
Apparently, it's good for fertility, for female fertility, and for the skin and whatever. So there are actually ladies who go to hospitals and they buy placenta of the day, and they make some soup and they give it to their daughters. But it's like, ugh, that's borderline cannibalism.
cannibalism.
Yeah, I mean, I was measuring myself whether I wanted to say it or not, but it is. You know what I mean? So I couldn't. I mean, that was it with that girl. I was like, and I didn't know how to word it with her. I just remember I texted her like, I can't see you anymore. Why? Just forget about me. So I don't think she knew why, but that was weird. That was really really weird. So with my wife, the only issues that we have right now in terms of food is that I can't eat spicy food. I mean, I like spicy food, but if I eat it, then I know I pay for it. You know, spicy in the mouth, spicy on the way out too. So
I can relate.
that's one thing. The other thing is that some of the sacrifices that we've made in our relationship is that I hate tofu. I hate the texture of tofu. She freaking loves tofu. So at home, we don't eat tofu. She goes out to eat with her friends. It's like tofu buffet, man. So it's all she eats. That and frog. She likes frog as well. I'm like, mm-mm. But I mean, frog is okay. I can take frog and I can take tofu. Placenta, get out of here, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's a shocking one for me. Like, you know, I don't know where to go from here.
No, we were talking
Like,
about
I
some of
mean,
those
I
values or traditions that are conflicting over that you found that you've had to adjust or to adapt to them or to accept them or just look the other way. I don't know.
yeah. Uh, if I'm thinking very hard, but personally, we don't really have these problems. She's very westernized
Hmm.
in that way because,
So is my
like,
wife.
doing an English school for such a long time and having connections to foreign people that influence you. Like
Mm.
she's been doing the school for a very long time, and yeah, she met a lot of foreigners, like from both genders, so she knows how they work, what's their traditions, and what's acceptable for foreigners. So, you know, I think over the years she left some of those like weird things that would be weird for me,
Mm.
and so we don't really have that. Like if I can think of one, it's stinky tofu
Oh,
that I can't stand. Like she loves it. She loves stinky tofu. I don't. Like
yeah. I
I
can't.
can't
She
at all.
no kind of tofu. No, but I just remember another bit that I'm preparing for my for my stand up comedy. Like, if you if you're ever with a woman at an intimate level and there's bush down there, you know she hasn't been with a foreigner before. Would you say?
Um,
You know, like
see, see,
a dental
see,
floss, like
people gonna think that we are sex pets. That's what people gonna
why?
think.
Why everybody has sex? I mean, come on. No, but okay, we don't have
I
to
mean,
go down there. How about the armpit? The hairy armpit. If you see a girl with hairy armpit, you're like, this girl hasn't been exposed to Western girls or Western guys. You know what I mean? I mean,
possibly, but then tradition comes in as well. I think because having your hairy parts, keeping your hairy parts actually, is very traditional in China. Like um, how do I word this? I've met girls
mm-hmm.
with hairy parts,
Yeah,
and I know girls with hairy parts up here.
yeah.
Um, personally, I'm very liberal, if you could call it that. so I don't, really mind. I'm very, I can accept it.
Mm.
I don't have too much problem about it. So I'm very liberal about this, and you know,
No, I mean,
people
plain and
want to be.
simple, find it unattractive. I mean, the armpit, the hairy armpit. I'm like, no, that just that's a deal, kind of like a deal breaker for me.
That's probably a turn off for me as well. So I'm not gonna be like, well, let's make compromises. It's more
Hmm.
like a no from me. So yeah, I
So,
can agree with that.
so when you're the first man in China, the first foreigner.
I guess, yeah. I guess, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, all right. No, this is all bits for my stand-up comedy. Okay, so don't take it seriously. None of these things are. I'm trying to
Okay.
develop my stand-up act, my stand-up comedy act. So I make a lot, and it's tough out there. But anyway, I bombed a couple of times, so don't get too nasty in the comment section down below.
No,
Uh,
I told you, people are gonna call us sexpats, and that's it. That's our new title.
yeah.
We are racist sexpats. There you go. With a yellow fever,
Uh,
for sure.
hey,
For sure.
what about I don't know. Do you have any other questions? Because my mind just went blank for a second.
All right, so like I said, I had loads of articles up here,
Go, go,
so
go. Fire them up.
I'm going to ask. Yeah, I mean, we talked about quite a bit so far, but let's talk about Western marriage in China, like a
Mm-hmm.
Western wedding in China. So, traditional Chinese weddings, I mean, you must have seen pictures about it, so you know what's going on and how it's just, a show off to the guests. So a Chinese wedding is not really about the bride and the groom. It's more about the guests. From my experience, like I was a best man before, and that is my experience. So a Chinese wedding is not for the man and the woman. It's for all the guests to entertain them.
It's well, the way that we have it in the West is like couples would have like what do you call it? The register for a certain
Yeah.
kind of gift, right? Here, it doesn't work like that. They don't register for a fridge. You don't register for a bed. You don't register for a flat screen TV. Just it's like you paying for the plate that you're served and the alcohol that you're consuming. So you bring your home bao, your red envelope, and that's your contribution to the future of the couple. It's not the refrigerator or the sofa or the barbecue grill. No, it's just cash. That's the way it is. And it feels like they have to give something in return. Like the couple has to give something in return for this contribution to their future. Um, is it too transactional? I guess it's also transactional in the West. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with
why do we have to buy you a flat screen TV? Why do we have to buy you a refrigerator? Why do we have? Do you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with different media, with different tools. Cash versus a list.
Yeah, I mean, I agree about that part totally. What I see different is, like I said, so it's a show for the guests
Mm.
in China. In the West, it's more about the bride and the groom, in my opinion. But I also think, and this is just my personal opinion, so I don't want people to think that this is every single Chinese wedding. But also, in my opinion, it's like a drama, like a film, like a TV show, for example. And they get up very early. They start filming, and we talked about the taking photos and taking videos. I
Yeah.
think it's the same thing in Chinese weddings. That it's 90% about films and videos and whatnot. And I think that is very different, and some foreigners won't be able to accept it. And that's why so many new Chinese couples that are ready to get married, they are moving towards a Western style wedding where they where they don't have this like drama and preparation for it. I mean, they still prepare their wedding, but they don't do it the Chinese way. They do it the Western way, where they engage with their guests more, and it's a more open kind of wedding where you can engage with other people instead of just showing yourself off for 5 minutes, then disappearing, taking the red envelopes, then再
Yep.
见.
And see you later. Um, I actually have been to only a few weddings here in China, um, and even though I've been married twice, I've never had a wedding party as such. I mean, we've had like a very small dinner with a couple of friends, like maximum. I think ours was like 12 people, 14 people, just our friends. You know what I mean? And that was the extent of it. That was it. um, with my wife in 2015. That's what we did. We invited a couple of friends to have dinner, and that was it. People gave us a couple of hongbao, but yeah, I don't really have that much experience with big Chinese weddings. I know friends who have gotten married and have had to do the whole go there and entice her, take her out of the house, and you know what I mean. Um,
Yeah.
which, if you're already marrying a Chinese lady and that's her tradition and that's what she wishes to do, what's the harm? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
but what I was thinking about the Western weddings is that with all this animosity between China and the West, I was wondering if there will be a change of heart in terms of, do we still want to be doing these Western style weddings, this Western style photography? Do you know, because they get married in their own Chinese costumes, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think is gonna happen? Would they still do the Western stuff?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, like so many Chinese couples they prefer going to Europe or America or even Thailand to take nice photos on the beach, for example, and it's not going to break the bank, and because of that, they're more open about Western weddings, and I think it's going to stay that way for the future.
Well, but I think that they'll still do the dinner back home, no? And then those pictures and those videos that they took in Thailand or Maldives or whatever, that's what they show at the wedding. I mean, I remember one of the weddings that I went to was actually like that. They took the pictures abroad and they came back and they had a whole DVD of their wedding pictures and their wedding video abroad. So I'm not sure if, because as I said, I've been to only a
Yeah.
few. I've been only to a few weddings, less than five in my time here. So it's not that many.
No, yeah, I mean, totally. Like that's I know a few couples as well that did the same thing. They went to other countries and they took pictures and videos, and they came back to China. They did their wedding here, and they showed those pictures and those videos, like an hour-long movie of their pictures and videos in like Thailand, for example. So, like I said, they present a Chinese wedding as a TV show, like a TV drama, for example.
Hmm.
The only thing is that there's no like twist and there's no drama in it. They just get a happy ending and that's it.
I've seen. I
Not that
remember.
kind of happy ending.
You said it, buddy. This is the internet. It's gonna be interpreted any way that they want.
Exactly, yeah.
No, I
I
remember
mean,
I
we
saw.
established like 30 minutes ago.
I remember seeing an MC at one of these weddings, like literally an MC, and I'm like, all right, okay. Again, haven't been to many weddings. I left Colombia when I was 19, so I don't have very deep roots in many other countries. This is the place where I lived the longest in my life, so very little points of comparison, to, if you know what I mean. So, not the best person to talk about the differences in this particular aspect. But I wanted to ask you one question. Um, what are some of the relationship with her circle of friends, because she had a past and then you became part of her present, um, Do her friends like you? How do you interact with her friends?
So I have one couple that I was actually the best man for their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the one of them, because in China you get like three or four like different best men. So
Mm-hmm.
again, that's a Chinese thing. Well, I wouldn't say it's a Chinese thing. Like we do it in the Western world too. Like you can have like two or three, like So yeah, I was actually the only foreigner at that time, and they were very supportive. I think they accepted me,
Mm-hmm.
but then it comes down to speaking the language a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
understanding their culture, and being open about it. Like I was open about it, so they were open about it too, and it's just a mutual thing, I think. So most of her friends they accepted me.
Mm-hmm.
They can also speak English,
Yeah.
like very well, because some of them work in like the hotel business, some of them work in like an international company, one of them works in a school, in an English school. So all of these places where you kind of have to speak English. So
Mm.
in that aspect, I was actually very lucky, and their boyfriends and girlfriends, they're also Chinese, but they don't speak Chinese that well, so they
Mm.
were a bit more distant.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, they don't speak English that well.
Yeah.
So they were a bit more distant, and they kept that distance from me a little bit at first. But after that, they started, accepting me, and we started going out together, like snowboarding or having dinner together or whatnot. So they were
Mm-hmm.
very supportive, I would say. I don't know what's it like on your side, so probably you can explain what's your
Well,
experience with it.
when I met my wife, she, because Dongguan is a city of migrants, right? So most of her circle of friends were also migrants, and most people do here business, trade, yeah, factories. So the ability to use English is very important. So her circle of friends, mostly girls, um, were also quite good at English as well, and I met them through her, and we didn't have any issues. They were also kind of like very open minded because they were all her friends were exposed to Westerners all the time through work, so it was not a big issue at all. That's an interesting thing to notice. I didn't have any kind of rejection from anybody. But the interesting thing, as they started growing older and they started getting married, those boyfriends or those husbands, they don't necessarily speak English. So whenever we get together now, it's like, hey, buddy. Mm. So it's either I'm quiet in the corner or the guy's quiet in the corner. It depends on who gets the ball rolling for the conversation to get going that day. Um, so a lot of the times we meet, like I let my wife, she gets together with her friends from time to time, so I don't even go because they just do their own thing. But if we're going to get together, it's usually the husbands don't want to come. They're like, okay, I know this is going to be English all the time, so just the girl would go, and we would have dinner with two or three of her friends, my wife and myself, because the husbands, well, at this stage, husbands, they have no interest in going. So that's what's a little bit different, though.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And like you said, husbands, they don't really like to go. Like, I like to go sometimes because, if it's a new restaurant, for example, like barbecue restaurant or something like that, like something that I like personally, I want to go and, check it out just for the food.
Mm.
Like I'm personally not a very social person. Like, I like to talk to people, but only about certain subjects and topics. So, what you know Chinese people my age talk about is a little bit different
Mm.
to my interests. So, I mean, I can talk to them about sports, for example, like football, but then most Chinese people they only know NBA, like so like basketball. So that's their main interest when it comes to sports.
That's a
I mean,
go-to
they
topic.
can name yeah. So I'm personally not a huge fan of the NBA. Like, I know the big names like LeBron, Jordan, whatnot, but I'm not really into basketball that much. I'm more like a football, sorry,
Mm.
soccer. If I don't know, in Colombia, do you call it football or soccer?
We call it football. We call it what it
Football.
is,
Okay,
football.
so
Because
yeah,
American
it's
football is
football.
played with the hands. So,
So it should be called, hand egg, basically, because it's not a ball, it's an egg-shaped thing.
hand oval.
And oval, yeah, there you go. I mean, I do like, the NFL, American football. I do like it. I watch it whenever I can.
Mm.
But, football is the football that we play in Europe, and we call it football.
Mm.
That's my opinion about it. So if any Americans are watching, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but football, you play it with your,
What's the craziest thing that your wife has done because she's been with you?
the
Because
craziest thing.
she's with you, that she's tried because, well, she's been with you. My wife, okay, let me tell
Okay,
you my
so
story. My wife went skydiving
yeah, you go first. Yeah.
because I'm a skydiver. So whenever we had the first opportunity, I said like, you gotta go skydiving. So I bought her a tandem jump, and she freaking loved it. But that's a huge thing for a lot of Chinese, particularly Chinese girl, I would say. So yeah, I was thinking about something like that. Has she done anything?
I mean, like I told you, we met through snowboarding, so that's already extreme enough for many, 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 many Chinese
Mm,
people. Like, you know, like car racing, extreme sports, that's, an unknown territory for Chinese people. They don't like to do these things because they think it's very dangerous.
yeah.
But for us Westerners, like, car racing is like, it's in the top three what we like to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, like extreme sports is that. I mean, I do have one, but then I don't know if it's extreme enough. So when we met, that was back in January 2018, and the month later it was Valentine's Day. So for Valentine's Day, she got me like a very expensive watch,
Mm,
like we're talking like 6,000 RMB kind of watch. So she went out of her way to get me like this very, very expensive like smartwatch. So at that point, I knew that, I'm either gonna be shit rich, or I'm gonna have, the love of my life. And it turned out it's actually
a
the
combination of
the
both.
latter one. So actually no, like after that I'm just getting like, 10 UN tickets for food every day. So I'm on a quota now. Actually, no, no, no. I'm just messing. So yeah, so that was the most extreme thing. So after that, it was pretty normal. But I think she just really wanted to show that she takes this like very seriously,
Mm,
and
a big
she
gesture.
wants to, yeah, yeah. So obviously, I had to return it, and we ended up going to Europe, to England together.
Mm.
So that was all on me. So that was, pretty expensive back at the time, but yeah.
The other thing that we did is I took her scuba diving. I'm a scuba diving instructor, but um, I didn't wanna. I mean, because we have this thing which is like, no, you're not going to be patient with me. You're going to force me to do things. So okay, so just go with an instructor and just listen to the guy. So, but I went scuba diving with her, and she freaking loved it as well. So, it's one of the best things I think about um, dating or being in a relationship with a Chinese girl, and also the age difference that is allowed me to show her things. You know what I mean? To see that spark in their eyes when they do something for the first time, like first time we went to Europe. I mean, she was really fascinated with everything, and it was so cool to see that. You know what I mean? Um, that makes it very worth it to be in a relationship that could have some challenges, because okay, let's face it, it's not all um, roses, right? But
Yeah.
for me that makes it all worth it. That look in her eye when she does something that she's never done before. that I'm
Yeah.
introducing to her in her
Yeah.
life. Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I actually have it's a very silly example, but what you just said, having that spark in their eyes, it's a good thing. It's like, a really nice feeling to have for both you and for her.
Hmm.
And when we went to Europe, so we went to England where we have like these big supermarkets, so
Yeah.
like Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, whatnot. And in China, supermarkets are a little bit different. And so we went to like Tesco's, which is like, a usual thing for my parents or for my sister or for me to go into Tesco's like every 2, 3 days to
Mm.
get stuff. And she was like amazed with things that we have, like for example, the meats, we have it in these like plastic trays and it's all weighed out and the price is on it, so you don't need to go up to the counter and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So she was like amazed by little things like, oh my God, you can do it this way too. Like, yeah, this is like normal. And she was like so impressed and she was so surprised about it at the same time.
When
So
the
yeah,
first
like
time
these,
the first time we went to Colombia, we're driving around the countryside, right? We're going to my brother's country house, and she's like, oh my god, there's cows." She'd never seen cows. She'd never seen cows in pastures. You know what I mean? And a horse, and like little things like that are just awesome. This is awesome to see those things. Hey, buddy, we're coming to an hour and 15 minutes. So, how about we wrap this one up? But just for the people who have watched all this long, we want to do this a regular thing. We want to do this as a regular cooperation. So, what do you want to say before you go? And then remember to do your own outro. So, plug your stuff.
yeah. So obviously, if you're still watching us, thank you. I thank you very, very, very much for watching this because it was, like you said, a very long one. If you have any suggestions how I can improve on my part, if you're watching on my channel, let me know. Obviously, I mean, you have a pretty professional setup,
Mm.
so I don't think you really need to improve on anything. But for me, if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. I'm planning to get an actual green screen because this one that you see is from Skype, and sometimes it blurs out my hat, for example, or my hands or my beer bottle. So do you know what I mean? So if you have any technical suggestions, let us know. If you have any suggestions about topics, leave it in the comment section below. And I think that is it from my part. So if you want to do, a little goodbye,
Well,
it's
yes,
up to you.
same thing. For all of you who have been watching so far, thank you so much for staying with us this far. And well, just make sure to go to my channel, click the subscribe button, and remember we were talking about this one. If you like the content on my channel, make sure to subscribe, and if you do that, don't forget to hit the bell button to be notified whenever there is a new video out. Can you do yours?
Uh, yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say, is it okay if I do mine? All right. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.
I'm gonna start doing the same thing, doing it faster and faster each day. All
Yeah.
right, Zach, this is great talking
Yeah.
to you, and well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.
Yep. See you in the next one.